So welcome back to our conversation about the human animal and the human predicament. And today I'd like to talk about Minneapolis. And like you, I'm distressed and angry about the events that have taken place there. And I'm really concerned. This is bigger even than it appears because we're in real danger of falling into fascism and an authoritarian state. And if that happens, we're going to lose not just our freedoms and not just our ability to function as a society, we're also going to lose our ability to make a difference in protecting our life support system. Because when people are afraid to come out of their homes, they're not going to do the difficult and inconvenient work that it takes to preserve our world. So maintaining a functioning democracy right now is pivotal to everything else that we might want to accomplish. So what about Minneapolis and what about the perpetrators? It's very easy for us to focus on the individuals involved and the agencies that have been involved in terrorizing that city and other cities around the country. And we need to do that. There should be justice for the individuals, and I believe, like many, that we should abolish ICE and that we should bring those organizational perpetrators to justice. But there's a larger issue here, and that has to do with culture. Because we like to think of ourselves as standalone organisms that make our own decisions about everything that we do. But in fact, we live in a powerful stream or river of history and society and culture that influences our behavior in very many ways. So what is it? What kind of culture was in play in Minneapolis? Well, I think we know the culture in question here. It's the culture of white supremacy, the culture of Christian nationalism, the culture of bigotry and racism and hatred. That is the culture that terrorizes and brutalizes people on the streets. That is the culture that pepper sprays innocent bystanders. That is the culture that pulled the trigger on Renee Good and Alex Preddy. That is the culture that is the perpetrator here. So we need to tell the truth about this. First principle of Extinction Rebellion, tell the truth. Tell the truth about this culture. And in this culture that's so familiar to us now, that comes to us in right-wing radio every day, we often hear the call to start kicking ass and taking names. This is a badass culture. It's time to double down, kick ass and take names. Well, we can do that too. Yeah, I can name some names right now. Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, Clay Travis and Buck Sexton, Mark Levin, Michael Savage, Joe Pags, Lars Larson. These are the people that perpetrate that culture, that endorse violence and hatred against other Americans. This is the culture that concerns us. And it's accurate to say that this is a criminal culture. The big players in this, Donald Trump and his cabal of sycophants, these are cultural criminals who are willing to throw American traditions under the bus just to advance their own racist ends. So that is what needs to change. And how do you change a culture? Well, we change a culture with better stories. We change a culture by calling it out, but also by creating new culture. We create culture with acts of courage and acts of resolve. We step up and tell better stories. And that's what we need at this moment. We need to create a culture that nurtures the human animal, that takes care of the human animal, a culture that promotes health and education and medical care and housing for the human animal. When we take care of the human animal, everything goes better. And that's where we need to begin. Yes, resist. Yes, say no. But also say yes to that kind of culture of human flourishing. So yes, go to the march, the No Kings March on March 28th. Show up and say no, but also say yes. And you might want to remember the final words of Alex Preddy. What did he say? Are you okay? That's a good first step. Take care of the people around you. Take care of the human animal, and things are going to go a lot better. See you next time.